Hello guys, I'm happy to see all of you here and welcome to our live webinar. And our whole team, we just can't wait to start this webinar because we prepared a lot of extremely useful information for you. So let's start our show. And today the topic of our webinar is KEARNEY first round interview simulation. And our webinar will be by our two career coaches, Andre Homulenko and Gaurav Bhosle. And now I wanted to tell you about our agenda for today's webinar. So our agenda of our webinar is we will start with introduction, format and rules. I will tell you this information. Then our clients will share with you their experience, and after this we will start our main part, introduction about recruiting process at KEARNEY, and also we will give you some detailed information about this company and some experience and knowledge from insiders. And after this we will start our interactive case interview simulation. And this simulation will be by our candidate Michel, and Andre will be an interviewer. And after our interview simulation, you can hear the feedback from Andre and Gaurav, and also share your feedback and ask your questions. And in the end of our webinar, you will hear the conclusion and receive some bonus materials. And now I want to tell you about our format and rules. So the duration of our webinar is going to be 130 minutes. And first of all, we'll start with a small introduction, which is going to be approximately 15 minutes. Then will be client references, also 15 minutes, and recruiting process at KEARNEY is also going to be 15 minutes. Then we will make interactive interview simulation, approximately 50 minutes, probably it will be more. And then we will make feedback and Q&A session for 25 minutes and bonuses for 10 minutes. Also, I want to ask all of you, please mute till the end. So we will not interrupt our participants and will not hear any voices. And also, please turn your camera off during the simulation. We just want to kindly ask you, please stay with us until the end to receive bonus materials and special offer for the first session with our career coaches, because only those who will stay with us till the end will receive this. So now I want to introduce you our team for today's webinar. And my name is Alina, and I'm client manager at Consulting Masters. And today I will be the moderator of this webinar. And now I want to introduce you our client, Michel, who were extremely kind and agreed to participate in our webinar. And we just want to say him very warm welcome to this webinar. And Michel, can you please tell us about yourself a little bit?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Alina. Thank you, everyone, for being here today during this webinar. So I'm an experienced professional, and I'm applying for an engagement manager position. And I have an interview in exactly around 10 days from now with McKinsey office in Paris, France. So I've been working with André and Gaurav and their team for almost 40 days. And it's been until now a very steep learning curve. And I advise anyone to join the VIP team because it's only added value. And I would like to thank you, Alina.
Thank you, Michel. And now I want to give a word to our career coaches, to our experts. And first of all, I want to give the word to Andre. Andre, can you please tell us about yourself?
Hi, everyone, and very warm welcome to our webinar, where today we are going to simulate first interview round with KEARNEY. And yeah, for those of you who still don't know me, my name is Andre Homulenko, and I'm a professional career coach and mentor. Our company helps students, MBAs, and young professionals, as well as experienced hires such as Michel, to get into the leading top consulting firms all around the world, mainly due to two following reasons. So first of all, I've been working in consulting of my own for more than 6 years with different companies, in particular also with Roland Berger. And starting from my internship in Kiev office, I was totally amused from my second project, which where I helped Russian Federation to prepare and host successfully Winter Sochi Olympic Games back in 2014. And after graduation from my studies in Germany, I also launched my international career there. I am born Ukrainian, so I came as an immigrant to Germany. And you can imagine how tough it was without proper knowing of German language to break through into that very competitive industry. I mean, solving cases on your own in English is quite a challenging stuff, but doing that in German puts a little, even more difficulty to do that if you compete with locals. Nevertheless, I was very privileged to having joined the team of Roland Berger of Automotive Practice Group, and I did more than 30 missions all across the world, in Western Europe, in France, Benelux countries, in Central Europe, in Germany, Switzerland, where we are currently live, in Eastern Europe, in Poland, Ukraine, in Russia, as well as I also spent a couple of years in the Middle East, out of Dubai office before moving back. And second reason is actually helping people, and coaching has always been a passion for me. Back in 2013, I started helping my friends after their graduation also to get into consulting. And then later on, we founded our own company, Consulting Masters, and together with Gaurav Bhosle, we are very glad to see so many coming to our webinar and help you to deliver best outcomes. So far, we have helped more than 600 clients altogether over the last 8 years to get into the leading top consulting firms. And some of them are even with us today in this webinar and will be speaking shortly. So I also want to give the words to my good friend and my colleague, Gaurav.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. Great to see you in great numbers. Yep. I'll probably start off by adding a third point to what Andre already spoke about. Yeah. So the two reasons you already know. The third reason is just the approach and mindset with which we are actually doing this. Yeah. So we don't want you to just somehow get into consulting, right? And we all having spent so much time in consulting and in coaching, we have realized that this is just half the work done. Yeah, we are here to make you a good consultant. Yeah, so right from day one, ensuring that a consulting muscle is built into you, is the approach that we both love, we both believe in. Yeah, and we are trying to inculcate in this particular program. So with that quick introduction from my side, I'm born in India and engineer by education, worked with Infosys, one of the starting member of Infosys China back in 2003-04. I did my MBA from HEC in Paris, and then was passionate about joining consulting, but of course couldn't speak any European languages. but struggled through. We did not have that many support services at that point of time, 2006-7. Yeah, so probably ended up doing extensive networking, ended up cracking probably 100-150 cases, and ultimately, despite of not speaking any other European language, landed into the toughest office to get into in McKinsey, which is McKinsey, Germany. Yeah. Apart from that, got some other offers from BCG, etc. But ended up joining McKinsey in Germany and worked across around 20-30 countries, especially in Europe, Africa, and Asia. A lot of interesting work along the way. Got a chance to work with a few prime ministers, got a chance to pull one bank out of the Lehman crisis, got a chance to work with a crazy news broadcasting company in India, got a chance to work with a PSU in India, and so many experiences which are so enriching. Yeah. But yes, I think grooming people, coaching people to get into something really aspiring has always been my passion, yeah, as is the passion of Andre, and that is what made me get into coaching. And yeah, since 2009, unofficially, I would say, and 2013 onwards, officially, have been grooming thousands of people who are now being a very good consultants and leading a good consulting life. Yeah, so that's about me, and let's probably go to the next slide and understand what are we exactly doing in Consulting Masters. So as I already touched upon, guys, here the objective is not somehow scraping through and somehow as they say cracking the case, or kind of sleeping through with some tactics and get into consulting, right? Here the intention is to be a little bit more holistic, yeah, and take a career view out of it. As you all know, getting into consulting is one challenge, but staying in consulting is another. Yeah, in McKinsey, the average tenure used to be around 16 to 18 months. Means that many people get fired right from the first appraisal, which happens in the 6th month, right? So it's not just about getting into consulting, yeah, though it's a big part of it. So we actually start off with a very core process of finding out the right objective. What's your skill, will, what exactly you want to do, right? And accordingly, what kind of companies you should be targeting is something that we start with, right? And then 4 P's of marketing. I'm hoping that you know this framework already. Yeah. So we need to also ensure that the placement needs to be right. The material for that needs to be right, right? And that is in this application is CV and cover letter, and of course all the other things that come in the application. We help you polish. We help you make some of these documents so compelling that people will really find it difficult to reject. Yeah, and then comes networking. Of course, with this marketing material, it's important that you really have application through referrals. Yeah, and more so now in this COVID kind of a situation. So we help you. We teach you how to networking in the right way. We extend our own network sometimes to ensure that you land into an interview call. Okay. Of course, I think I don't even need to talk about. I think some of our clients will also talk about it. Of course, we do a very, very rigorous interview preparation so that be it fit, be it the case, yeah, you are always on top of it. Yeah? And once you get an offer, we help you with the decision making. And interestingly, we also handhold you to ensure that you land in the consulting, consulting job very well. There's a concept of first 100 days. So first 100 days in any role are very important, especially in consulting, because that is where you make your first impression. And a lot of time it's very difficult to reverse if you are not starting right. So we hold you there, we coach you through this difficult period, and we set you on a very, very accelerated career path in consulting. Yeah. So that's the intention. Yeah. So of course, to give you an offer from the company that you really want to get into, but also, kind of to try and make you a star consultant. Yeah, and that is what motivates us, and that is what we are trying to do over here. Yeah, if you can go to the next slide, guys. So yeah, I mean, of course, all these efforts do bear fruits, and you can already see. Now, for example, this last month, 7 of our mentees joined some of these leading companies: be it McKinsey, Bain, Oliver Wyman, RB, and so many more. Yeah, so that's the intention. That is what we strive for, we live for. That's our passion. Yeah, so the result is there to see in front of you. Yeah, so with that, if you can go to the next slide, guys. I think from my side, I've spoken enough about consulting masters and what we are trying to do. But I think it would be great, probably if we can hear from some of our existing clients what has been their experience. Yeah, so it shouldn't happen that I'm telling you something. Yeah, but but our client is something else. Yeah. So why don't you guys, some of you, talk about your experiences with consulting masters?
Sure, I'll go first. Hello.
Okay, Carl.
Happy to be here. And
Can you guys maybe just at the very beginning introduce yourself to others and also tell a little bit more about how we used to work together and yeah, how did it go so far and what are the results and whether you would like to recommend?
yes, of course. My name is Carl Saliba. I joined Oliver Wyman this week, and it's been great. My first introduction to was through Andre, because I decided to join and I had very few weeks to prepare. So I reached out. He helped me throughout the interviewing process. I applied to only one firm, and he knew that, so he made sure I had one shot and I had to make it. So that went well. So after that went well, I reached out again. Actually, he was checking up on me to see if everything went well. So I told him that yes, and I asked if there's anything I can do to prepare for what is to come. And that's when he introduced me to Gaurav, and it's been great. They gave me a series of really life lessons that really have helped me tremendously, even in the first week. Was just staff today, so everything that they taught me, I was applying, and it went super well. And on top of that, I would say a very important aspect is that I can reach out to them anytime. I mean, they have experience, and it's so I don't have to make the mistakes they did them for me. So I can reach out and ask anything. They're always there. And something else that I loved is that so many people are in the program and or have went through the program. So there's also a community there where we can talk to people that are applying with us, or I applied. Some people are applying right now, so they reach out to me. I reach out to people that are now associates maybe at the firm. And yeah, building the networks it becomes so much easier. So yeah, that's my experience till now. I'm super happy, and I hope everybody here gets to enjoy the same benefits.
Carl, and just a personal question, how is your first week in consulting?
Um, it's been great. It's been challenging. I think you can see the difference in my eyes, I guess, from the extensive use of the computer. But it's been super challenging and super rewarding, I will say.
Are you excited?
I'm super excited. I start on a new project in 4 days, so I'm super excited. Yeah. Can't wait.
All right, let's talk about it on Friday so that we can also give you some help on that. And ladies and gentlemen, if you actually can I ask you for one favor? I mean, it has been so tough for Caro to actually break through into Oliver Wyman. So I think that he has deserved an applause. So can I ask you to congratulate him and give him that applause with your turn cameras?
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
And I think Carl, coming over here in the first week and spending half an hour with us, I mean, hats off to you. I can imagine how the first week must be going. Yeah.
Yeah.
And still, you felt about the community and you came back. Thanks a lot.
Of course,
Yeah.
always.
Thank you very much, and have a great start. Yeah, thanks. Who else would like to share their experience?
I can talk.
Sure.
Sure. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. This is Ahmad Shamsuddin, and I've been with Andre and the team for a month approximately. And so I'm going to share my experience with the guys, with the coaches and the team members. And it's been like an extensive and amazing experience so far due to the coaching services provided by Andre and Gaurav, because I believe they are the most amazing coaches out there, especially Gaurav, because he talks about every single point that we say. He criticizes everything. So he always makes sure that we don't say any things that is out of line. And Andre is always pushing us to further increase our critical thinking skills and how to manage our stress and everything. And he always motivates us. In terms of the group that we are in, we are all motivated people inside this group, and we all work together. So you can feel that everyone is helping each other, and you can feel the support from everyone. And I can assure you that this is true, because I've contacted Carl like a couple of days ago, because I have reached for help, and he was actually very supportive, and he gave me some tips regarding his interview process at his current firm. So regarding the teams, regarding the people inside this VIP program, they are great people who wants to help each other, and we have the same goal. So you could expect that you will derive a lot of value from the coaches and from the people inside this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmad. Thanks a lot. Okay, anyone else? Maybe just the third and the last person to share the thoughts before we move on.
Hi everyone.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Thomas. No worries, it's fine.
Go ahead. No problem, Pritam.
Okay, so thank you very much, guys, for coming here, and thank you very much, Gaurav and André, for wonderful introduction. My name is Pritam. I'm mechanical engineer, master's in mechanical engineer. I'm currently finishing my MBA. At the same time, I'm working in Munich. So I have been working with André since couple of months, and I personally see a huge improvement in myself, not only about cracking the case, or not only about working in consulting, but to the simple questions such as how to solve any kind of a problem in any kind of a job role. So the Gaurav always keeps on motivating us on how can you improvise on problem solving skills, and how can you make an impact with your personality as well. What kind of person you are, and how can you work in collaboration with other team members using your personality aspects. And on the other hand, Andre is always I will say in a good words, he is always keep you pushing, okay, to get to the to reach to your goals. And personally, I see a lot of improvement in myself, and I hope you enjoy the session as well. And if Thomas, you want to add something else, you can also add quickly. Thank you.
Yeah, I just to highlight and to say again all you have done. In my case, I'm studying master in management, not an MBA in ESCP Europe, also a French business school. And yeah, I agree with all that it has been said so far. I would like also to add that we not only learn from Andre and from Gaurav, of course, but also from the other members of the team, from the other people who is in the same boat. So it's a great chance to learn from each other and to improve skills, watching others, and also by doing and being corrected by your peers. So I was just to add that to what has been said so far. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Thomas. Gaurav, the word to you.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Okay, guys. So I think you know a lot about what consulting masters do, and I hope you will derive value out of this session as well. And of course, we invite you to all the webinars so that you can extract the maximum value out of it. Yeah. But if you want to test it firsthand and want to have a session with either of us, feel free to contact our client managers. And yeah, I mean, given that you are on the webinar, we want to welcome you and also give you a discount code for the first session. Yeah, so I invite you all to take this opportunity and make the most of it.
On the next page, you will see that KEARNEY is actually among top 7 consulting firms worldwide. So you have so-called MBB firms, which is McKinsey, Bain, BCG, these 3, and you also have so-called Tier 1 firms, which are Roland Berger, Strategy, and Oliver Wyman and Kearney, or previously known as AD Kearney. So they have more than 3,600 people in more than 40 countries and different offices, and they serve 75% of global Fortune 500 companies. They are especially strong and known for their operations practice, but basically they are doing a lot of strategy, digitization work, and particularly in the Middle East region, they are also very known for their governmental work, public sector, transformation, etc. In fact, for the MENA region, they are ranked number 3. After BCG and Strategy End. So they have a very dominant position in that particular region. So here you also see that they provide really very broad, they have a metric structure, which means that they cover different industries like verticals, and they also have functional or horizontal structures. So they are doing everything from aerospace and defense up to wholesale distribution and utilities in these kind of regions. And they provide strategy work, transformation services, leadership, change, organization, digital, and of course, M&A activities support. And then on the next slide, it's probably also what's very interesting for you is that they do a lot of topics and they're very famous, especially in the MENA region, for their social impact and diversity as well as inclusion. So, which mainly means that nowadays women or female candidates out of you have the best chances to get into consulting, since there are some special quotas for you, and you are now even more privileged and more welcome. So therefore, I also want to encourage our young ladies to apply for consulting, because there are unprecedented opportunities for you, for your growth as well. Okay, and now let's also give you some of the insights on the next page about the recruiting process and the interview process at KEARNEY. So basically, interviews at KEARNEY have 4 rounds with 2 interviews in each round. So in total, you need to pass, I think, 8 interviews before you get an offer. And every interview has an up or out principle. So you're either proceeding further, or there are like 8 chances that you are kicked out of the process. And you need to successfully make all 8 of them. And then there are also some certain criteria which are also KEARNEY specific, what they're looking at during their interviews. So as for the fit and behavioral part, they especially pay attention to the following values. So they value intellectual curiosity a lot, as well as emotional intelligence, creative thinking, and your diversity of thoughts. This is how they are different from MBB or other companies. So they are not following that very strict top-down principle, but they really value a lot your intellectual curiosity, as well as your emotional intelligence, your empathy part of individual, as well as your creativeness. So again, this could be really felt even in your project assessments later on. And then in terms of the case part, they pay special analysis to the following 5 criteria, which are analytical skills, operational ambiguity, so how you can manage complexity, and how creative you are in the way of thinking, and then also how what's your ability to learn and go beyond your prospects. Is there any part about, are there any questions about KEARNEY specifically and the interview process which you would like to ask right now? You have a good chance to do so.
Like McKinsey asks for an outstanding achievement or your academic record, does AT KEARNEY also do the same?
KEARNEY also, of course, looks for your academic records, and they are very selective. So they are looking, generally speaking, for best candidates, of course, like top 10, top 20% of the cohort, but they are not that selective as McKinsey, because they also value other or further criteria where you can highlight your intellectual curiosity, your emotional intelligence, or diversity is nowadays a really very big word for them, which they want to process. Are there also any other questions?
Hi, André.
There are some questions. Is it 8 interviews for every position? Or is the interview process the same for every region or for interns as well?
So the interns have an advantage. They basically only need to make half of that process. They need to pass 2 interview rounds with 2 interviews each. So they should pass between 2 to 4 interviews in total, comparing to the full time. Yeah, and of course there are also some regional differences. So the process in Europe might look a little bit different than in the Middle East or in Southeastern Asia. But this is their corporate standard, which they try to follow in most of the cases. Further questions?
Yes, I had a question. Sorry, thank you for putting this on my
Please turn on your camera, Fatima, or whoever speaks, so that I can also see the audience.
I've turned my camera on. I had trouble with it earlier. Can you see me? I think it's just showing a gray screen, sorry.
All right, go ahead.
Anyway, sorry. I was going to say, so answering a McKinsey-esque, tell me about your greatest accomplishment is relatively straightforward, but when it comes to showing things like diversity of thought or creative thinking, how would you do that in the fit interview?
Well, you would basically be asked about, can you maybe tell me the story where you showed your creativity or the way of thinking? Or other than that, then you need to, as a candidate, to present this kind of story. Other than that, there will be examples like during the case. For example, the interviewer can ask you the questions like, Fatima, what could be a different approach how you can solve this case? Or what are other options to go about this problem? So with this kind of questions, the interviewer will be testing your ability to think outside the box.
Okay, thank you very much. That's very helpful.
Sure. Any further questions?
Andre, there is one more question. It says, does KEARNEY in MENA region recruit year-round, or do they have recruitment cycles?
They have both. They have on-cycle recruiting, which is typically September, October, as well as now March, April. And they, of course, have off-cycle recruiting because they are growing very fast. In fact, in April 2020, when the whole world was just in the middle of pandemic, KEARNEY has made its ever best year in terms of revenues, especially in the Middle East region. So they have been extremely successful and they're keeping up growing and expanding their team. Anything else?
Yeah, hello, Andrew, Thomas here. Is it a
Hi,
major
Thomas.
Hello, is it a major advantage if I had an internship before with, say, KEARNEY or Berger, McKinsey?
Yes, of course. So an internship from one of the leading consulting firms is almost like a fast track to your interview for the full-time offer. Or if you can become a great performer, as in my case, an internship with Roland Berger have actually helped me to get a full-time offer with the company because, I did a very solid performance during the internship.
Thank you.
So in this way, you can save some steps. It's a good shortcut to get into the full-time position in consulting.
Perfect. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, welcome. Anything else?
I think one more question has featured just now. Is there any other way to land an internship if there is no such positions available in the company's career sections in the website?
Oh, thank you very much. It's a good question. I think that it's always best to reach out to companies through connections and networking to figure out whether they are hiring interns, because indeed in some of the regions companies might not be hiring interns, but they are hiring interns in other regions, so that you can also apply across borders, for example, from Europe in the Middle East or vice versa. All right, cool. I think that most of the questions have been already answered. So therefore, I would suggest to move on to the next part of our webinar today. And now what we have just discussed with you in theory, let's not only talk the talk, but let's do the first interview round case simulation with Michel, who is going to play our client. And I will be no longer Andre, I will be Yuri from KEARNEY team, so that we can actually make all of this real. Michel, are you ready to start?
Yes, I'm ready, Yuri.
Okay, sounds good. So just before we start, ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you for some more support? Because Michel might be a little bit nervous to see so many unfamiliar faces.
Let's go,
So
Michel.
can we actually, give him an appraisal and say all the best for you?
Let's go, Michel.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, I will also kindly request you to turn off your cameras and microphones. In case you have any questions or in case you have any observations, just write them down into the chat so that we can address them later on. But please do not interrupt us because, it's going to be a little bit intimate moment between Michel and myself, where we are going to interview, let's then basically see how it goes. And Michel, I wish you best of luck.
Thank you.
I will turn off my camera for a while and then turn on again and I will be a different person.
Yeah.
So see you.
See you.
Hi, Michel. This is Yuri Konitsky speaking. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Yuri. How are you? Good evening. I hope you're fine.
Yeah, all the good. Thank you very much. Michel, sorry for running late. Is it now a comfortable time for you to speak?
Oh, absolutely. And I appreciate very much your time for giving me this interview.
Yeah, sure. All right, Michel, let's maybe start with a quick introduction. So my name is Yuri Konitsky. I've been working at KEARNEY as a senior project manager for 3 years for now, and I'm advising transportation clients, infrastructure, public sector, aerospace and defense in the region to master all the challenges, in particular from COVID 2019. And can you also maybe tell me a little bit more about yourself and what leads you to KEARNEY?
Yes, of course. So basically, I'm an experienced professional with 20 years of experience. I'm an engineer by education. I have an MBA in strategy and finance. I have a passion for value creation, and I'm a very curious person. I have chosen to apply for KEARNEY for 3 main reasons. The first reason is for the growth opportunities and its people. The second reason is because I was speaking with my friends working at KEARNEY, and I been able to confirm that I have a substantial value proposition for the benefit of the company and its clients. And thirdly, choosing KEARNEY fits strategically into my overall career track. So first,
so what kind of value proposition do you want to show me?
Of course. So basically, my problem-solving skills in challenging and complex situations. Secondly, I will discuss about my leadership ability in diverse and global settings. And also, through my journey, I've worked on projects which are very similar to the consulting world. So in regards to the problem-solving skills, during my experience at Castle Holding,
can you tell me what was the most challenging project which you have done so far and why?
Yes, of course. During my last role at the Desert Grove, and specifically during the COVID-19 crisis, as you know, everybody went through a very, very difficult situation. And I was faced with an extra difficult situation at that time, where I was seeing our working capital thinning very fast. It was drying up very fast. And at the same time, we were losing a lot of new fresh money coming into the company, as the markets, as you know, have completely frozen up. And I found myself with thinning working capital, an overhead that I had to manage with 27 employees and suppliers to pay. And at the same time, in the UAE, the government has closed the borders between the different Emirates, and half of our projects were in the Dubai Emirates, and the other half were in the other Emirates. And also, another constraint was that the government closed all the ministries, among them the Ministry of Labor, and we had a lot of employees on a visit visa, which were supposed to be processed to have a permanent visa, and all that was stopped. So I was faced with a very, very difficult situation. So what I have done is I first sat down and I put an action plan, and I segmented my projects in two different types, for the reachable projects and the non-reachable projects. And I prioritized to divest as fast as possible from the projects I could not reach, which were in the other Emirates, while keeping my priorities set up, which were to keep the clients happy. Secondly, to keep the work, to keep my cash flow at a certain level so I can pay my employees and pay my suppliers. So for the non-reachable projects, I've been
but
very
Michel, just the fact that you're speaking now to me makes me to think that you probably failed in that.
Oh, no, absolutely not. What I have done, I have set a clear strategic plan for both of these segments, and after 4 months of implementing it, I've been able to manage the working capital, basically by agreeing for the clients out in the other states that we will provide them all the purchase orders of all the materials and equipment for them to buy directly. So we would not take any profit of it, and we will assist them also in selecting a contractor local to the city, and also we will assist them until handover for any support they would need remotely. That way, we've been able to keep the client happy. He got his project, he got a major discount, and we've been able to divest from them. Regarding the project within our reach in the Dubai Emirates, we sat with all the clients and we agreed that we would send our labor to their site, that they will pay them directly on a weekly basis, and also we will provide them our purchase orders, which will they pay at site delivery. And at the end of each project, at the end, we would consolidate the accounts and we would finish the projects. And that way also, we've been able to complete all the projects, keeping our cash flow within the company by diverting the cash requirements to the clients. And also I negotiated with all the suppliers, the lines of credits we were initially 90 days. I extended them for an additional 180 days. So which allowed me to also have a better cash management.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
and so, I mean, why do you actually want to leave your venture, this Dead Grow Pools and Spas, where you have been founder, owner, and general manager?
Yes, that's a very good question, and thank you for asking it. Basically, during the same period, which was between February and October 2020, in addition to manage all these projects and all these clients, I've went to the banks, my company bank, ADCB, and other banks, and we have requested for loans, business loans, and during the last 3 years before that, I have sold for around 4 million euros of swimming pools, and I have invested around €500,000 in 2016. And we requested for a business loan, and they have provided no business loan, neither to our company, neither to any small, medium businesses in the UAE, as there is a policy since 2016 that closed all the departments for SME for business loans. So there were absolutely no possibility to have a loan provided. And in addition, I have looked for private investors during that period to come and bring some capital to fill the working capital. But unfortunately, all the investors I have met during the crisis have their own problems, financial problems, and they have their own challenges. And in the UAE, there is no private equity markets as in Europe or North America. And I have been forced
So
at the
you
end to
basically
close the
failed
company.
and your business ran out of cash, and that's why you now need to go for a job.
I wouldn't say I failed. On the contrary, I succeeded by completing all the projects that I had in hand. I provided all the projects to all my clients, and also I succeeded in my original mission in establishing this company, which was to develop my leadership skills and my entrepreneurial skills. So definitely, if I look at myself before this company and after that company, I'm a much more skilled person in terms of
What have you
leadership.
learned out of that situation?
Well, I have learned many things. One of the things I learned how to manage stress, how to handle stress and pressure. Would that be in good times or bad times? And
how do you handle that?
So I handle stress and pressure by always remaining calm and by focusing totally on the task at hand. For example, for the example I have provided you, under this very high pressured situation, I completely removed all the entertaining activities in my life, and I cleared my calendar, and I focused at the task at hand by creating a list with the most urgent elements on the top with the bullet point, and I went through that. This enabled me to lower the stress and the pressure, but also what I do.
Tell me about the situation which requested you to show the highest emotional resilience ever.
Of course, the highest resilience ever is when you are sitting with a client and the client is screaming at you because from his side, at some point we were not going to his site I think it was at the beginning of the crisis. It's been maybe 3 weeks we were not able to go because first they closed the roads, and second the shops for the tools have closed. So the consumables for the construction and the tools, all the shops have closed. So we were not able to take the material to go to the site. And I think the best way to manage that kind of situation is to first really to have a lot of empathy, to listen to the client and to listen fully and to make him understand that I understand really what are his concerns, and to also communicate that we are here to help him and to finish his project, and this is our sole mission, and we are here to work to complete this mission. And through that discussion, the stresses goes down, and we can find a middle ground at the end of the discussion, where we put a plan together on a step-by-step approach to complete the job at hand.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you maybe then, by contrast, describe me a situation where you developed a very creative and innovative solution for your client?
Yes. In fact, one of the big aspects on the swimming pool industry, when I established this company, that there's two traditional ways of doing swimming pools. There's the fiberglass pools, and there is the normal shotcrete construction method of doing swimming pools. So when I entered the market, when I decided to enter the market, I didn't just want to enter the market and use either or technology. I wanted to differentiate myself in a traditional segment. And to that, I brought in a new innovative construction method, which is the monoblock system. And it's a system that allows the pool to be constructed in 3 weeks instead of 2 months, a concrete pool. That brings not only added value for the client in terms of the interference in his garden, in terms of all these people coming in the garden and working as a construction site. So there's less time of construction work happening on the site, but also for us as a contractor, it lowers our variable cost substantially. So
yeah, and what was so innovative in that? I mean, why are you bringing so many technicalities?
I think first, to add value for the clients in terms of time and warranty. We provide them with the 25 years warranty, while the competition give them a 10 years warranty. And secondly, and most importantly for us as a company, these innovations allow us to reduce our variable cost, which means that with the same team, which is comprised of civil workers, skilled workers for construction, and steel workers and concrete workers, with the same team, we can do 5 pulls in 1 month, while using the traditional technology to do the same number of pulls, you would need at least 3 times the number of employees. So that is that innovation was crucial in us growing very fast in 3 years. So during the first year, we sold for 120,000 euros. The second year, I sold for 1.8 million euros. And the third year, I sold for 3 million euros. And we were growing very fast. But unfortunately, this crisis came at the moment where we were really growing substantially.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Michel. Would you like to move for the next stage?
I'm ready, always.
Okay, thank you. So let's pause here for a moment and yeah, let's hear some feedback. Basically, ladies, gentlemen, you can feel free to put your questions into the chat. And Michel, how do you think, how was your performance so far with Yuri?
Well, first, thank you, because the discussion has been, I think, very smooth in general, and the subjects and the questions were intermingled in together on non-traditional questions. So everything that I have been preparing for in general wasn't really directly asked here, but I think this improvised session for me was all right. I don't know if I was clear enough because it's I was describing my experience, and I could have structured it a bit more maybe, but I tried to put I don't know, that's, I don't know, maybe other people can say if they understood anything I said.
Okay, all right, Gaurav, what kind of feedback do you have if you're smiling so much?
I smile because probably Michel smiled for the first time in last 15 minutes. So, and guys, also feel free to post if you have any feedback, those who are listening. So the first feedback is very low enthusiasm. You're sounding tired. Yeah. I'm just getting a feeling that probably, yeah, this is an extra hour of work that has been thrusted upon. Absolutely.
No. I was having a nap before coming, and I'm in full shape.
Yeah.
I'm not tired at all.
But it's not coming out very enthusiastic.
Okay.
I mean, I saw even the interviewer scratching his head twice or thrice. Not a very good sign. Okay, so some of those cues you should pick up and probably speak up, or kind of get a little bit of enthusiasm if you see interviewer doing that. And overall, I think the enthusiasm level was down. Not completely top down, some of the answers, especially when he was pushing you, interviewer was pushing you and you are defending. You are getting into like a very bottom-up storytelling kind of a way, rather than kind of structuring your answers and giving the responses. First question, when you spoke about your business, you didn't even tell us what kind of business you were doing. I think it's a swimming pool construction business is something that you told us in the second answer. So for the interviewer who doesn't know what kind of business you're talking about, it will be completely clueless. Yeah. So you assume that they know what you're talking about. So kind of a presumption.
I have a question here, Gaurav. When the interviewer does the interview with us, they open our CV, they look our CV, or they don't look at our CV at all?
So that is something we can't force. They might be sitting at the airport and taking your interview. So we don't know that. Yeah, I mean, in any case, I think in the introduction, in the first line itself, you should have talked about, that I'm talking about this particular experience where I was doing this. So you missed out on that part. Why consulting? It's not very great answer. So the discussion just made me feel that it was a fallback option. So yes, you defended well that you did not fail, but still the flavor felt like it's a fallback option, right? It's not something that you want to do. So that did not come out very clearly. Okay.
All right, cool. So I will also provide you some feedback from my side. First of all, I see that you're showing me literally your emotional resilience while I'm throwing you with some challenging questions. But the reason why I'm showing you these challenging questions is because I got bored. Is exactly because what Gaurav have mentioned, there was lack of enthusiasm from your side. Sometimes also lack of the structure where what you've done specifically, you were actually answering to my questions very long, in a very long way. So you was not up to the point. Someone can tell that in terms of communication, it was probably not concise enough. So this is one of the points which you definitely need to work on future on. And I think that there are also a couple of questions in the chat. Gaurav, maybe you could help me or help us to answer them. Can you unmute?
Yeah, thanks. Is it the first question is it okay to tell the interviewer that his question is good or relevant? What could be used instead to fill the gap between the question and the answer? Yeah, so I think at least over here it came out naturally. I felt out of Michel. It's not that on every question he was putting a feeler. Yeah, and in fact, during an interview, the fit interview, once if you do that, yeah, it just shows that genuinely you're thinking about it. In fact, if someone does that, the interviewer gets a feeling that he has asked an important question. So yes, I think asking for a moment, let's say once, not every time, yeah, is not a bad idea. Other feelers can be interesting, or it's a good question. Yeah, so that those can be used, but just don't make a habit out of it. Yeah, or let's not make it sound like very mechanical or robotic. It should be genuine pause. Okay. How typical is it to request a few moments to structure your thoughts? I just told you the same. Yeah, probably once in a entire fit interview is not a bad idea. When were you Andre interrupting him because he took too long time to answer, or because is it a common thing the interviewer does to try and distract the interviewed person?
It's basically a combination of both. I think I have already answered this question. I started interrupting Michel because I just got bored a little bit because Michel was not very concise. But also it's part of the stress testing of the candidate, and some interviewers are doing that, and some firms like McKinsey are doing that more common than others. But also it depends very much on the interview level. So in the first interview round, you are not distracted that much as you could become in the second or third interview round or fourth one. Yeah. Next one.
Okay, I think it's a comment, and very nice comment, Ashwin, that he says that in consulting, generally clients come to you with problems and they expect us to be enthusiastic and care passionately about them and their business problem. And some slight shift in the tone of Michel in terms of speaking on energy would have made Andre more invested in listening. Yeah, good point.
All right, cool. Thank you very much for your comments and feedback. So now let's continue then with the case part. Okay, I will again mute myself for a while and then speak back as Yuri. Okay, Michel, so
Yes.
are you ready basically to jump into the case exercise?
Yes, please.
On
I'm
the
fully
next
ready.
page?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so as you can actually see from the screen, our client is a local broadcaster in Dubai, which already has 4 channels. The one is for entertaining, the second one is for drama, the third for political topics, and the fourth one for kids. So they are basically arranged according to their ratings. So entertaining has the best ratings with 50%. Of the volume, and channel for kids is the worst one with only capturing 5% of the rating of the broader audience. And this broadcaster is an average player in the market. Its profitability and profit margin are decreasing for now. And CEO wants to fix the profitability issue and is actually willing to broadcast the National Football League in Dubai and is considering to participate in one bid to gain those rights. What do you think about it?
All right, Yuri, thank you so much for this interesting case. So basically our client, broadcaster in Dubai, is looking to increase its profitability by entering the National Football League broadcasting and also looking at his current operations on how to improve the profitability of his current operation. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the channel wants to improve the profitability or profit margin, and there is also an opportunity in 1 month they can bid and if they can match the price, they will have the rights to broadcast over the small competitor for football games. And the government has promised this to them because they want to give chances to the new players in the market to broadcast for the football league. And the price for the bid is $175 million. So shall they do that? And what could be the outcome?
Okay, thank you for this interesting question, Yuri. So I have some clarifying question, please, in regards to that case.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So as I understand, they want to bid for license, we can say, for $175 million to broadcast this National League team. So the cost is the cost of the license, 175 million?
Yes.
Okay.
It's for 10 years.
Okay, it's for 10 years. All right. Do our client have any experience in sports events previously?
In sports, as you see, no.
No, not never. Okay. And in terms of success factors with that kind of investment, what are they looking at in terms of profitability? Do they have a benchmark they are trying to reach?
They want to have everything higher than 25% profit margin.
Higher than 25% profit margin. And this profit margin, I would guess, would result in a 4 years payback period. That's the target for that client. Is that correct?
They don't have payback periods, but generally speaking, this should be basically, what they are objective. And by the way, why 4 years payback period?
Well, if they're getting a profit margin of 25%, no, it's not necessarily that. So I was asking a question if it's related in general. So okay. I would like to ask you if I can take a moment to structure my approach.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. All right, Yuri, I'm ready. So in order to answer or assist our client in deciding if they should bid for that license, I would like to tackle this challenging case with three main buckets. The first one would be the assessing the market attractiveness of the sport in that the national sport market attractiveness in the UAE. And then I would move to the financial attractiveness of entering this specific segment. And my third and final bucket would be looking at the feasibility if our client would be able to implement this strategy if we believe it's a right thing to do. And under the first bucket, under market attractiveness, I would look at the size of the market itself, look at the demand drivers in terms of people watching football on TV, and how this market has been growing for the last 5 years, and if we can potentially forecast its growth in the future. And then I would look at the competitive landscape, see if there's other players who are already in that space, how they are behaving, and if there are competitors who might be also bidding for this license. And from that, I would find the expected market share. And I would move on to the financial attractiveness of this potential venture. And under that, I would break down the profitability in revenues and costs. And under the revenues, I would look at the potential revenues. Normally, the broadcasting, the revenues comes from the ads. So I would look at what would be the average price per minute that we can charge for ads, and the total number of minutes that can be also on air. And I would move then to the cost structure and to understand what would be our fixed cost and variable costs. And once I have a good idea if this market is attractive and financially feasible within the target and benchmark that our clients has set, I would look at how he would implement that to understand if there's a strategic fit of launching this sports channel with his other already existing channels. Maybe he can leverage his experience. And I would look at also the operational aspects. So I would look at the value chain itself, look at from the distribution channels, if he has already distribution channels with advertisers already in the pipeline that he can leverage to that new channel, and look at other aspects of operations like equipments and other assets he can use also to support this operation. Unless you suggest otherwise, I would like to start with the market attractiveness.
All right, thank you very much. And what do you think, what else could be included in your structure?
I would look at in the feasibility under the third bucket. I would look if he would have the financial capacity to pay for this 175 million. So under the feasibility, in addition to the strategic fit and the operational feasibility, we would look at the financial feasibility within the third bucket. And under the market attractiveness, I would segment, which is the first bucket, I would segment the demand driver by people watching, and the revenue drivers, which would be the advertising businesses that we can have a business relationship with. Do you have any additional question?
Okay, I'm fine. Thank you very much. Let's basically pause for now, and let's again a recap on the structure. So Gaurav, can you maybe also help us to provide the feedback on the structure? What you think, how was this, as well as answer some of the questions of the participants?
Yeah, guys. Do you have any feedback already, audience? Okay, so I think I have one very general big feedback as well on the structure, which is, I mean, I was counting the time, the amount of time you took to talk about the structure was humongous. I don't know, towards the end, I was almost getting confused in terms of what's the, I mean, where I stand in the structure. So the top-down nature of the communication had almost gone. Then you did start off with a good branch selections, but the way you took it to the next level, it was like very roundabout. It was very confusing. I don't know. What do you think, Andre? You understood the structure towards the end? Last couple of minutes literally confused me in terms of what actually you want to do.
I just want to mix the feedback. That's why I'm giving you the chance to speak out loud, Gaurav. Yeah. But Michel, actually, I think that your initial structure with feasibility assessment, market assessment, and profitability assessment was exactly the right one. Yeah. But then when you went through communicating on one level down, and then when you even touch base that I want to see the entire value chain, you lost me completely, because I haven't seen how this was fitting your initial structure, and you, generally speaking, took too much time in order to explain the second level of your structure, so that it was really very hard to follow your communication as you will. I think that you lost me in your second bucket when you was explaining it to me.
The feasibility, you mean?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've put the value chain under the operational feasibility.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Gaurav, what else?
I think that's the broad structure, because I also lost him in the second at level 2 around second bucket. So I was impressed with the first line. L1 was very nice. In L2, it completely it became like round and round. So I didn't get it completely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's maybe just spend 5 minutes to answer most of the questions.
Sure. So I think one comment is on the structure is maybe try factoring in the profits lost due to illegal streaming of sports by fans online. Yeah, so basically they're talking about incorporating the potential revenue loss. One question, why are profitability and profit margins currently decreasing?
This was actually a very good question, which I was expecting from you, Michel. I would have said that the profit margin has decreased from 25% to 17% over the past 5 years. Unfortunately, we don't know the reasons why, but that's why our management has an expectation that the new license should bring us above 25% margin in order to compensate the previous loss. Gaurav?
Yeah. Just a minute, I'm just reading out. Okay, there's one comment over here. I would first see why profits are decreasing. I think that is what we just you spoke about, Andre. What we could do about that, and only after see if entering the football broadcasting market covers the loss or makes the company grow in some way. Yeah. So basically, it talks about first digging up why this profitability and profits are going down, and then only getting into whether we should go for broadcasting or not. Okay. Wow, a lot of comments. Perhaps suggest converting the worst performing kids channel into a sports channel instead of completely new channel. This might save resources and due diligence in setting up a brand new channel. I don't think this is the scope. We are talking about whether to get into sports channel or not. This is not even in the scope. So I don't think this is the right way of going about it, Ashwin. Fayaz comments he could have gone for the kids channel for broadcasting after considering the rating during the prime time, etc., etc. If needed, ads could be placed to divert audience to the other channels as well. The revenues from ads can be divided into ads during the game time, ads during segments, etc. So I don't know. I mean, at this point of time, I don't think that will add anything to the structure per se. Yeah, again, guys, don't forget don't do scope creeping or scope increasing. The scope here is very clear that we are talking about whether to broadcast the National Football League or not. Yeah, whether that will improve the profitability and profits or not.
Can I ask a question? Like regarding the so they want to and they want to broadcast the National Football League in Dubai. Now, in order to watch the National Football League, is it a free user or a paid user? Because I did a case like this before, and some broadcasting televisions, they want you to pay for it. Some is for free, and some converts the free users to paid users. So is this the right way to address this case or no?
Paul, this is one of the questions which you could have asked if you were the candidate during the asking the clarifying questions. And also one of the feedback which I want to give to Michel on that extent, that why not to ask again about the business model of the broadcaster to figure out how the firm is actually making money, and how about asking an additional question about the bid. So what is exactly offered by the government in order to figure out more details. And then I think that you asked a pretty good question about financial expectations in terms of profit margins. So this was good. This would be how I would address these cases. But just to answer your question, Paul, in that case, the subscriber does not pay for that channel, and the revenues are coming very clearly from the advertising stream, which Michel has actually. So you, Michel, you have a very good business guidance in that case, and so keep this, but just become more concise and more energetic in terms of communication. So don't let Gaurav, myself, Paul, and many others to fall
asleep. But I want to understand the enthusiasm and energy. How would you translate that? I'm in a professional setting, and I don't know.
Showing enthusiasm is also in the manner how you communicate, with your body language, with your voice, with your intonation, and with your poses. So I'm currently speaking to you in an enthusiastic manner.
And I'm speaking in a monotone manner. Is that correct?
Yes. It's very monotone.
It's a monotone.
All right.
I don't know.
All right. Let's basically continue from here. So Gaurav, thank you very much. And Michel, let's basically resume with the case and finish it until you will find the structure. So the structure is in front of us: feasibility assessment, market assessment, profitability assessment. Feel free to start with whatever bucket you prefer.
So Yuri, I would suggest unless you suggest otherwise, I would start with the market analysis.
Yes, please.
Yes. So under market analysis, I would like to investigate actually the size of the potential audience that we might capture in that football segment, and do we have any data regarding the size of the people watching sports in the UAE, and specifically the segment of football?
Good question. Unfortunately, I don't have that data that much, and I only know that the population of Dubai is roughly 3.6 million people, but I cannot tell you, and for that case, it's irrelevant. Yeah, what I can tell you is that the market is quite big, but it's already saturated and there is no growth in the market.
Okay. And under that same market attractiveness, there is no growth, as you mentioned, and the size is saturated. And in terms of competitive landscape in there, how is the rivalry structured? Is it a fragmented competition, or it's
so far it has been a purely monopoly? So there is one small competitor, which is a niche player, purely focusing on broadcasting football, and that's why the government decided to provide additional license for 175 million US dollars in order to increase the competition.
And in regards to that monopolistic competitor, do we have any data on his performance in terms of no. Okay. And in regards to the other side of the coin, in regards to the advertisers, do we see do we have an interest from the different advertisers to catch on the audience of?
Yes, we do.
Yes, and these type of advertisers are mostly, I guess, working with that monopolistic player. And do we have any data on that? How much they are charging, and how many minutes are they on this other players broadcasting?
Yeah, so I can basically share the following information with you, so that advertising actually runs 12 hours a day, 52 weeks per year, and it's 30-second slots of advertising every 1 hour. And there are also 10 games per week, which are all equally important, and they last for 2 hours.
2 hours.
The revenues are amounting to 100 US dollars advertising revenue if they are taking place outside the game, or 500 USD in terms of revenue if they take place during the game, during those 2 hours. So based on that information, can you please calculate the profit margin and
yes,
do the recommendation?
Yes, I would like to ask you first, when you say $100, this is per 30 seconds? What is this revenue, $100 per, what is the unit of time? It's a unit of time?
So 100 US dollars for every advertising spot. Like once in an hour, you have 30 seconds.
Okay, for each 30 seconds.
And each of it outside the game time will bring you $100. And during the game, within those 2 hours that the game lasts, then you get up 500 euros for every spot.
Okay, and just one last question.
So can you maybe calculate the total revenue?
Yes, just one last question. This 500, this 100 outside the game happens only one time with each game also. So for each game, there
one
outside
10 games per week.
I understand, but for each game, there is one outside ad and one inside ad. Is that correct? So it's 30 seconds.
No, the game lasts for 2 hours, so there are two
spots inside the game.
Entertainment,
yes,
happens actually inside the game.
And for the outside the game, how many spots we have? How is it?
I have provided you this information.
Okay, may I take a minute to structure my thoughts, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank
please.
you. All right.
present
All
the
right.
next page, please.
So I would like to present my business logic before I go into the calculation.
Yes.
Yes, so basically I would segment the ads inside the game and the games outside the game. And I will calculate first the revenue from inside the game, which would be represented by the following formula. So we are saying that we have 2 hours per day of games, and for each hour there's the one inside the game ad. So it will give us 2 times 30 seconds. So
It's not correct, because I mentioned to you that you have 10 games per week.
Yes,
I haven't mentioned to you how many games you have per
that's
day.
correct. So each game is a 2-hour game. So
yes,
it's 2 times the 30 seconds times 10 per week times 52 weeks times 500. Yes. So yeah, 2 times 52 times 500 times 10. And the same, I would do the same logic for the outside of the game, which would be the remaining 10 hours. So 10 times 30 seconds valued at $100. So 10 times 100 times 52 times 10.
There is something missing in your logic.
So 10 hours left. For each hour that we're doing outside of the game ad. Is that correct?
No.
So that was my original question.
What do you think? What is missing if you have 10 games per week?
I have 10 games per week. I have all the other time free to fill up the broadcasting of this channel. And
yes, that's true.
Yes, and in this other time, this is where we have the outside ads.
Exactly.
This
but
is
don't calculate on the daily basis. Calculate on the weekly basis.
Exactly. So we have 10 hours per day of no games.
How do you know that this is 10 hours per day, no games?
On average. Okay, I understand. So we have 24 hours. Is it a 24-hour open broadcasting? The channel is
no,
open
it's only 12 hours.
12 hours. All right. So 12 hours times 7 days. It's give us 84 hours per week of channel operating. Out of this, we have 20 hours of games. So we are left with 64 hours of no games show.
Yes.
And this 64 hours per week, for each hour, we have 30 seconds of ad outside of the football game. So it will be 64 times the rate of $100 times 52 weeks. That would be the revenue for the outside of the game period. And going back to the revenue inside of the game, just I want to verify. So we had 20 hours, which was originally the 2 times 10 times 52 times 500. So if I am to do the calculation, first for the revenue for inside the game, I have 2 times 52 is 104 times 500 times 10. So we have 104 times 5,000 times 4 is 20,000. Plus 100 times 5,000 is 500,000. So we would have $520,000 of from inside the site. Go back to the calculation we've done before in terms of total hours available is 64 hours times $100 per ad times 52 weeks. So 64 times 52 would give me 2 times 6, 12, 5 times 4, 20, 6 times 5, 35, 37. So we have 8283. 3,828 times 100, which gives me $382,800.
Are you sure
So the
about
total
that?
revenue, 64 times 52.
Yes.
Gives me
64 times 52. How much is that?
Gives me 3,828.
Can you maybe check it again?
64 times 52 is 4, 8. 2 times 6, 12. 5 times 4, 20. 6 times 5, 32. So it's 3,328.
Yeah, I
this
think
would give me times 100, $332,800 for the non-games, no game show ads, which will give me a total revenue of a sum of 520K, 330K, 800, which will give me $852,800 per week. Week times per year. Sorry, an annual of $850,000. Then I would move to understand what would be the cost structure for that operation in order for us to arrive to a profitability, or yearly profitability. And in terms of cost structure, I would look at the fixed costs and the variable costs. And from the experience of our clients, do we have any data on what would be fixed cost and variable cost for this operation?
No, simply stop on that because I think we're running a little bit out of time as for now. So this is basically one factor. Which other factors would you like to do in your analysis?
To come to the profitability?
Yeah.
Or to the next step? The next
profitability
step would,
or
yes. So for the profitability, I would finalize the this is one of the revenue streams. I might have another revenue stream I can add to that ads. Potentially I can create a subscription program for special events or for special games or finals or quarters that will be paid. So we can increase the revenue by adding another revenue stream. And I would look at the financial costs and the variable costs at where we can leverage the current operations in the other channels to have an optimized or minimized cost structure. And from there, I would then move to my return on investment. I would look at the profitability and we'll see if we are reaching the 25% target of our clients. And then I would look at, there's in the cost, so there's a license cost of the for the channel 175 million. And from there, I can maybe look at the return on investment for that new venture and assess, in addition to the profitability, yearly profitability, how long it will take to recoup the initial investment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds like a good plan. And how would you actually fix the profitability issue from the past?
Right.
So what would be your most creative approach to go about
yes,
it?
so my most creative approach, I would look at the cost structure in terms of percentage of sales, and I would benchmark that with the competition, look if we are at the same levels. And for sure, there are some areas where we have the highest spending or cost inefficiencies, and I would go inside this specific activity and look at what we are not doing well, potentially the operations. There's inefficiencies in the operations. Would that be maybe procuring the programs from third parties? Maybe it would be the airtime is not optimized on the TV, or maybe the ads that we are also providing on these channels are not generating enough revenue, and maybe there's not enough ads, maybe they're priced improperly. and maybe the audience that are not the audience coming to our channels is not satisfied enough. That's why we have a low audience, and that's why we're not getting the best advertising venues on our channel. So I would need to understand if we have
Michel, and what do you think if the CEO asks you, like, what is the biggest challenge or the biggest threat potentially for our company in the next 5 years?
All right. So the biggest threats would be in terms of the current operations is not to be able to identify and optimize our profits and to improve on the demands of the audiences and to create the right relationships with the advertising companies. In regards to the sports segment, we are entering against a monopoly player. We might have him react and behave very aggressively to us coming in. He might be paying more for the advertisers and rob them from our pool of options to our channel. We might have new entrants coming in to the market where the government would provide other licenses that will decrease our revenue also there. And maybe the regulation.
What else can threaten us in the middle and long run?
I'm sorry?
Which other external factors could threaten our industry in the middle and the long run?
Other external factors would be the actual regulation of the broadcasting might change. Maybe today the government is providing the license, they might not renew it after 10 years. So we might risk to lose the license, or and maybe the channel who are providing us the platforms to broadcast are getting more expensive. They're gonna raise their prices, like the infrastructure, like maybe the satellite spot for us to broadcast our channel.
All right, cool. Thank you very much, Michel. And maybe do you have any questions before we end up the interview?
Yes, thank you so much, Ulrich, for your time. Yeah, I have a question. I wanted to understand what was the most interesting project you have, from your point of view, worked on for the last 2 years?
Oh, I think there were quite a few. I don't even know what to start with, since I've, for example, I helped to develop one of the biggest ports, marine ports in the region,
Nice.
or I helped to create a national railway in the region.
Nice,
so
nice.
I don't even know what to pick up for you. I think that Middle East currently presents very, very challenging and very unique projects to whoever the individual wants to work with in transportation, infrastructure, or also in any other region. So I think now is exactly the right time to be in consulting.
Very good. And when you came to AT Kearney, how was your transition coming into the AT Kearney? How did you manage it? How did you feel? What were the biggest challenges when you came in?
Challenges. I think, of course, there is like a new company. I mean, I've been working with one of the leading consulting companies beforehand, and when you moved from one consulting company to the other one, it's not a big deal in terms of transition. So I would say, of course, Kearney has a different culture than other competitors, especially with our values on creativeness, diversity, and inclusion. But at the end of the day, it's also a consultant business. So me personally, I didn't have, luckily, any changes in my transition.
Well, thank you very much for sharing.
Cool.
Your
Michel, thank you very
experience.
much for your time, and thanks for your interest in KEARNEY. Our company will get back to you.
Thank you for your time.
Take care.
It was a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, Michel, here's Andre speaking.
Okay, my first
Yeah,
question, did I show more enthusiasm?
I think in the second part, definitely yes.
Okay, all right.
So what do you think, how was your performance? How was you driving the case?
Okay, in terms
and
of
the questions at the end.
Okay, in terms of driving the case, I think when we had the time allocated, we were not cut in time. I think I was okay. In terms of calculation, there was a kind of, can say there's a mistake in assessing the on-game hour you had. And then when I did the multiplication, also there was a small recorrected, and I got it. Then with the brainstorming sessions, I didn't take time to structure my brainstorming, so I went directly into the brainstorming presentation of what would be the extra things I can do to make the profit better. Question also, I didn't take the time. I went and I exposed my thought on that. If would have presented it in a more structured way. That's my, and regarding the final questions, I had the one mostly positive question, and the second one was more about challenges coming in. So it was a less positive connotated question. So that was my observations for my side.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you very much. Your opinion and question from the audience.
I think I'll keep it very short and 3 points. One is the calculation swaps, the mistakes, and for what reason you were talking about calculating it on daily basis rather than a weekly basis, despite of Andre giving so many hints. So that is one. I didn't get a feeling that Michel in the case. I was getting a lot of assistance from the interviewer, despite of he categorically saying, the interviewer categorically saying, pick up and you run, wasn't there. And yeah, even in the last question, I think you end the interview with asking a question that has different innovations. So the challenge question to end the interview is not a good idea.
Yeah, I wanted to, because at the introduction you gave me your background, your story, and I wanted to ask a question, but I didn't take notes of where you're coming from. So a good second question would be related to actually what you presented at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that I will also give you just a very brief overview. So in terms of and more details, we will speak offline on the ways how to improve just afterwards. So from my side, basically driving the case minus, not appropriate. Then logic, not stringent. I gave you several hints in that you need to work on the weekly basis, and it still was for you to grasp the information and to observe it. And then there was also some calculation error. Like I asked you 2 times, what is the multiplication of 64 times 52? And I mean, if I'm asking you one more time, then maybe there is something missing and you need to check. Don't play this card too much time. And other than that, I think that the logic itself was correct. I also asked you a couple of curiosity questions, thinking outside the box. And one of the threats which I was expecting you to say is also about from not only the new entrants, but from the substitution and from disrupting the industry, digitization, because the streaming is the key competitor nowadays to the entire TV industry, and it can literally make sure that TV industry becomes the industry of the last century and will not survive the change. So this kind of outside of the box thinking I was also expecting from you. And I think all other points were already addressed by Gaurav. More details to be followed in our debriefing session just after that webinar. So Gaurav, could you please also help us to moderate whatever our clients potentially have asked into the chat. So let's move on to the page 23 and have a very quick Q&A session.
Yep. There is no question.
Okay, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, before we actually do that, I want to request you one more time, nevertheless, to give the applause to Michel, because he has done a very tough and challenging work for you in order to candidate today. So can I ask you to turn on your cameras and to give an applause to Michel? Thank you very much, Michel.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
All right, cool. Then if that's fine for you, let's basically go to the bonus materials so that you can also fully benefit from our webinar. And I want to give the word to Alina and want to ask the team to share the link about our satisfaction survey. So help us to improve. The link should be now put into the chat, as well as consulting call with our client manager, Alina. So Alina, a good word to you.
Thank you, Andre. Yes, so I sent already 3 links. First of all, I want to kindly ask all of you, please fill the webinar satisfaction survey. It's the first link. So there you can leave your feedback, and it's extremely important for us. So I just want to give you some time so you can share your opinion about this webinar, and probably have some ideas which you want to share with us and that you think will be very useful for you for the future webinars. Please just feel free to write everything you want. We will really appreciate it. And this is extremely important for us. So we will give you some time. Yeah, thank you a lot. So all of you who stayed with us till the end will receive some goodies. So first of all, it will be the brief presentation of the webinar, and of course, a video recording of the webinar. And you also can book a free consultation with our client manager. I already sent the link in the chat, so you can use it. And don't forget to use also the promo code about which we spoke in the beginning. So you can write Top Masters and use this promo code, so you will have your discount for the first consultation. Yes, and also we want to invite you to our next free Oliver Round interview simulation, and next Wednesday, 21st of March, from 5 till 7 Central European time. I also sent you the link for the registration, the second link, so you can use it and register if you haven't done it before. And on the next slide, you can also see our contact details. So you can follow us on our social medias in LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Instagram, Sync, and also you can check our website, and there we share a lot of useful information and a lot of materials which can be extremely helpful for your preparation. So please follow us, and yeah, it will be really extremely useful for you. And thank you a lot, guys, for this amazing webinar. Thank you a lot for your participation and for your activity. We're really happy to see all of you, of the whole team. It's really happy that you liked this webinar, and we hope next Wednesday. So thank you a lot for participation, and I wish you a great evening today.